Well, Brad Ferguson, this morning I woke up and, there it was staring us in the face. NISTA has to. I think they have to. I don't think they have a choice. But that was the headline everywhere. Everybody wanted to know, wanted to do some kind of an article about NISTA dealing with whether some of these nasty FSD cars, yeah, FSD cars have been, running lights and going the wrong way. And they had, I think, 16 examples or something over history.
Mhm.
Anyway, did you have any? And of course, the stock went down a little bit and didn't quite recover all of it before the end of the day. Did you have any thoughts about this new NISTA investigation?
We've known since December of last year for 10 months that FSD version 13 does occasionally run red lights. So I'm not surprised that the government is finally looking into it now and is way late to this. And they already mentioned in their investigation announcement or whatever that Tesla's already addressed this. So it, it seems like they're just like dragging up mud against Tesla. It seems like the purpose of this.
Well, certainly everybody who doesn't like Tesla and that owns some kind of publication loves to get a hold of anything like this to create the headline. Now, maybe
Yeah.
they don't even care about Tesla, but they know it's a great clickbait. So,
Mhm. There's millions of Teslas in the US. There's at least 2 million. So there was one accident with injury involving it proceeding through a red light on version 13. So what's the
well,
big deal?
as of now, I don't think there are any. I mean, as of probably the end of this week or early next week, there won't be anybody running on version 13. Everybody will either be on version 12 or 14.
Yeah, I hope they push version 14 soon. I think they should just send it, even though it's there's some odd braking behavior.
Right.
There's just so many other things that are improved. I think they should send it. I think it's also going to improve the safety profile as well. Um, so I hope they go wide with it. Maybe they don't, because of the odd braking behavior. But I gotta think that, like, in a month or so would be the latest that they would push out like version 14.2 to all cars or a vast majority of cars that have hardware for.
Right. Right. Yeah. Rub it in. Go ahead. Rub it in. Uh-huh. I got that.
Sorry.
Sorry. Um,
And Cybertruck's supposedly going to get some love before the end of the month.
I know. Everybody but hardware three. Our time will come. Our time will come. So, so what is your impression? I mean, obviously you think it's a good thing, but have there been any specific impressions that particularly you find important or critical to the future of Tesla?
Yeah, it seems to be a huge improvement overall. So, as soon as it's detecting uh sirens or whatever, it's getting over, slowing down. So it's doing it like before a human would. We saw this with a Chuck Cook video, also saw this with a dirty Tesla video. So it's doing really good with that. Reverse and reversing parking, starting drives. It's very quick to do all of those. The parking is really good. Um, there's some little things they need to clean up just stylistically, like I think someone navigated to a Tesla supercharger and it parked at Electrify America spot.
Oh no.
So you probably the Tesla owner wants to go to a Tesla supercharger. So you could fix that. And like I think occasionally it's still parking in handicap parking spots, but
Oh, okay.
it'll parallel park on its own, it'll
Yeah.
diagonal park on its own, it'll back into a spot. It's parking faster than the then you can command the version 13 software to do it. Um, yeah, another weird thing is you can command it to find a specific type of parking.
Hmm.
And if it doesn't find that, it'll just kind of circle endlessly. So like that's on the user if you're
Yeah.
like circling in this endlessly and oh well, you told it garage parking, but there's no garage that's open. So maybe you should change it to street parking or a different type of parking.
I was particularly impressed with the story about the drive-through restaurant.
Hmm.
That on my version, if I take it to a drive-through, it gets to the driveway and the split, and then it jitters. It just does this.
Yeah.
But apparently, this guy was reporting, gal, I don't remember that it was actually clever enough to realize that it was at the ordering location when the order was placed. It was clever enough to just keep going. When it came time to pay, it understood that the payment was complete and kept on going. When they handed over the goods, it was clever enough to know that that was done too. I don't know how it was figuring all that out. I mean, what if they
Yeah,
hand,
so he gave the order.
yeah,
It has a microphone.
right.
So once it detected that the person had given like a total,
Mhm.
then the car pulled ahead to the window and he gave the credit card. He got the food. He didn't yet have the credit card back. And this is a dirty Tesla video.
Okay.
And then once he got the credit card back, then the car proceeded. So it might have some sentience.
Some sentience, or at least it's been taught to understand some social cues.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. So I wonder what happens though if they forgot my ketchup and I'm already pulling away and like wait, I need my ketchup. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens with maybe it'll back up because somebody else was reporting that it got too far into an intersection, decided it shouldn't complete its left turn or whatever, and then backed up back to the
Mm.
back
Behind
to
the line.
the guidelines line. Yeah, yeah. So maybe it would back up to get my ketchup.
Yeah, I wonder if you verbally try to fake it out, what the car would do. Um, so yeah, it seems to be very good. Um, and it seems to be doing things before the human would do it. Another instance, and this is another dirty Tesla video where someone was passing a tractor trailer or like a farm tractor or something.
Mhm.
Um, so the other car was coming onto oncoming, versus the Tesla, and the Tesla started to slow down as soon as it saw that. And
Mhm.
this was before the human noticed it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's doing things before the human would do it now. So Elon said it was going to be 2 to 3 times better than human.
Mhm.
So I'm optimistic that maybe right now the is safety critical type of disengagement is going to be once every million or 1.5 miles, where a disengagement is required to avoid an imminent accident,
Right.
like an actual collision.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm really curious to see how it is besides this whole like jittery braking thing. Also want to see it more on the highway. We haven't seen a ton on the highway, and I'm curious what behavior differences they notice on highway.
Yeah. I've only had one, well, I've had only two things in the last like 6 months on the highway that was of any question at all. And mostly it's around high occupancy lanes, carpool lanes. Um, once it wanted to go in the lane, and in California, you can't do that anymore. And and before that, when California was still allowing electric cars in the high occupancy lanes with one driver, it would never go in the high occupancy lane, even when
Hmm.
there's a big backup in the fast lane. So it's been a little bit of a back and forth on HOV lanes, but other than that, it's been highway stuff. It's been merging good, figuring out when to get off good. Yeah, all that kind of stuff's been good on my travels.
Yeah, in a fit of EDS, they banned the EVs from the occupancy lanes.
Well, it wasn't exactly a banning. It's a banning with one person per car. In other words, you used to be able
Yeah.
to pay, what, $27 a year or $9 a year. I don't know what the amount was. And then you could go in even though there was only one person.
Hmm.
But yes, you are correct. It was definitely tr either Elon derangement or Trump or some combination. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we also had the big news of the week was the release. Well, the big news of the week to me was the 14.1. Okay,
Yeah.
second news of the week was the what I've been calling the Model Q, which now turns out to be the Model Standard. I think they should go back. I think they could call it the Model YQ. I think that's better than standard. Anyway, we now have two new vehicles at two new price points. And what's your overall impression of this marketing move by the company?
I'm curious where things go from here. So I think it's a general positive. Not everyone's a Teslanaire with like $1 million in Tesla. So like $5,000 savings per per car is pretty substantial. It's definitely a different like quality that you're getting, or feels like a different experience inside.
Very different.
Yeah, it highlights, how much nicer the premium is. So the models that existed before the standard. So it highlights that. Um, also, this may sound strange, but I'm guessing most people didn't know about the federal tax credit.
Apparently not.
So like even if you spell it out, they probably didn't know. So I think there's a potential for these models to turn some people's heads now that the base price is under $40,000.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, I think there's a lot of, well, first of all, in my experience, and in fact, I'm glad you brought this up because I haven't been bringing it up in uh, re, any of my videos recently. I think it's true for you as well. Most people that I talk to, they know there's such a thing as a Tesla. They have no idea it can drive itself. They don't really know the benefits. They've never been in one to know how space agey it feels when you get into one.
Hmm.
I mean, I would say by far the majority of the people. I mean, but the majority of the people don't even know that there's a Starship 10 launching next Monday. They have no idea that there's this massive rocket ship taking off, and it's like crazy right now. We just don't have the old, three news stations where everybody in the country's on the same page.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. So yeah, I it also allows Tesla to do more with their existing lines. So, provided there's demand for these models, it allows them to use their existing lines, which means, they can get more use out of them, more depreciation on those lines, more, higher capacity utilization.
Right.
So let me ask you, you used to have manufacturing lines,
Yes.
what difference would it make to have like a 70% utilization versus maybe 90% utilization?
Yeah, well, specifically in our case, because we were in the bicycle business, we were and actually the ad specialty business, they were both seasonal and unfortunately almost exactly the same season. So
Hmm.
from March to October, we were sold out. And from November, December, January, February, it's like, please, somebody send me an order. So what we were trying to do at all times was try to figure out products that might not even be in the bicycle industry, maybe some other industry that we could
Hmm.
manufacture in October. Yeah, and we tried the ski industry. We tried indoor sports. We were looking all over the place to see if we could get a product that would work. So yes, huge difference. Not there's so many reasons. There's reasons like your employees.
Hmm.
If you have regular business, keeping your lines going all the time, then you're not getting involved in layoffs and rehiring and retraining. You've got again, as you point out, the building, it's the overall, uh, uh, you know, your capital base that you're getting to depreciate or that you're having to take into consideration of the cost of the raw material of the cost of goods. So you've
Hmm.
got all those things going on, and of course, you're also hopefully, and I don't know that this will impact Tesla very much, but it impacted us. If you are keeping the place busy, that means you're probably paying your salespeople more. Your wholesalers are doing better with you. All of those are your retailers, whichever. So if you're doing better with the wholesalers and the retailers, you become more important to them.
Hmm.
So there's a million things that you benefit from as you get more utilization out of your factory.
Yeah, so I think this is a something most people aren't taking into consideration with this move.
Right. Right. Yeah. So I definitely think that's big. I'm kind of curious. It's going to be interesting to see. We all expect it to be made in Shanghai, and yet you're like, where are they going to make all this stuff? I mean, they've already got the Model Y, which apparently is going to be a very high throughput, which is going to help actually. But are you going to also be able to do the standard and also do the cyber cabs in Shanghai? I mean, it's one building and they're not adding to it.
What I've heard so far is that the standard is only going to be available in the US.
Oh, really? What about the guy from Berlin on the walkthrough in the Berlin factory where they said coming in 2 to 3 months? You think he was really talking about the US?
That's just what I saw. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe the person was wrong, but
Yeah,
um,
I don't
I
know
thought there was a clarification that this is
US.
only US for now.
Interesting. So interesting that they wouldn't at least make it in Berlin per your idea that they need to use that factory.
Hmm.
All right. Well, so anyway, so your impression is good
Maybe
idea.
there's another plan.
Maybe there's another. So your idea is
Maybe we still get our wish. Who knows?
it's possible. So so your idea with regard to the standard models is good idea, factory utilization. You think so, therefore you must believe it'll increase the overall TAM.
Hmm.
Are you of the Brian Wong and I now are, and it looks like maybe Dan Ives are thinking we could have another 500,000 quarter. Have you looked at it hard enough to think about that?
No.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're thinking that the Model Y L in Shanghai will make up for any losses. And the performance model in the US uh, combined will make up for any losses that might be coming on the what is now, I guess, the premium, the rate,
Hmm.
what used to be the regular Y and the regular three.
Yeah.
Along those lines, speaking of all those models, you reported to me just a second ago that Model S got quite the achievement award.
The Time magazine had a list of top 25 inventions in the past 25 years, and Model S was named on that list as on the top 25 inventions.
And what about, say, something like a reusable rocket? Did that make the top 25?
Uh, I think we would have heard that if it was, so no. I think that should probably go up there because that's been revolutionary for space travel and
Totally revolutionary.
mass to orbit.
And creating this new entire way of communicating by satellite from the satellites. Yeah, it would seem like that would have been an invention worthy of making the top 25. I don't know. And then I don't know, again, Time Magazine is kind of like so passé, but I did see the cover, and you guys did a video, I think earlier today about Figure,
Hmm.
Figure AI, their Figure 3, I think version 3.
Yeah, figure three, yep,
So
of their humanoid robot.
that got the cover. So does that become the most impressive invention of the past 25 years, Figure Robot? Or is it the
I,
humanoid category?
I don't know if it's on the list.
Oh, it's just on the cover. I made a good comment.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the two are related.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to check that out because
Do you want to talk about the figure three?
absolutely. What do you got? What did you think?
I generally impressed with it. I think they made some good decisions. I'm curious to see how the design choices end up, working out over a long time. Um, I think they're generally going in the right direction. So what we saw with the figure three is, I think they continue to iterate on the hands. There's a camera in the hands. They talked about the precision of sensors and how robust and what kind of longevity those sensors have.
Mhm.
Uh, so it can sense the weight of a paper clip on your finger. Um, so I thought that was fairly impressive. The videos weren't super impressive. Um, the robot seemed to be moving slowly. They did have one where it picked up a playing card off of a deck.
Right.
So that was pretty good. Um, so mainly they seem to be outlining the look and talking about their plan.
Mhm.
So to me, it feels like they're raising capital.
Mhm.
They talked about a bot queue, so a robot HQ, so they're calling it bot queue,
I see. Okay.
and making 1,000 per month from it. And they talked about their supply chain being vertically integrated for a chunk of things. So instead of 3D printing all the stuff for the robot, um, they're going with more cast parts, whether it's injection molded or tool and die, using that for a higher throughput. They also talked about making 100,000 over 4 years, that being their goal,
Right.
which I think would be impressive, but I do think Tesla's intended scale is much bigger.
Much bigger. Yeah. I mean, even Elon's dialed back number would be
Hmm.
100,000 in 2027,
Yeah.
roughly, and maybe 500,000, then a million. So his scale now sounds a little more realistic of, say, 12,000 year one. Maybe he's thinking 15, 20, because before he was talking about 10xing every year.
Elon, or do you
Oh,
mean Brett Adcock?
Adcock, he was talking about
Okay.
10xing every year. So was Elon, quite frankly. But yeah, Brett had said the same thing. He was going to 10x every year. So he
Hmm.
dialed it back to, I think, something probably way more realistic. What I'm surprised at, again, as a manufacturer, is he says they're basically going to have to make everything themselves. Making 1,000 of these individual parts per month is going to be a killer. I mean, that's going to be a horrible number. I mean, sure, you might have some actuators that you need to make, 10 of or something. So you got 10,000 a month. That becomes an okay number. But any of the individual parts, they're only making 1,000 a month. That's like not unless you're going to 3D print it or something. It's not enough to get the cost down.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. Um, I yeah, I think their plan is reducing some costs, but I think it's still going to be expensive to make. So yeah, I'm real curious to see where this goes from here. We also saw pretty clearly I'm just looking at like a thumbnail image. There's a camera in the back of its head.
Right, right, right. Yes,
They'll
yes.
have eyes in the back of its head. Uh, they make the clothing of it easy so you can have different vests. I don't know if you did this in your factory, but like in Tesla factories, people wear different vests based off of where they're allowed to be and what their role is. So whether there's like a neon yellow or a neon orange or whatever. Um, so they're giving manufacturers ideas and cues on clothing it.
Mhm.
Um, there's an inductive charging, but it has to like stand in one spot for that.
Right.
Um, so probably I'm guessing a lot of the times the robot would be standing at a station, so it could probably work and stand on the charger at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm curious if that's true, that it can work at the same time.
So we saw a couple of videos over the weekend of kung fu boxing by the Optimus.
Hmm.
One that was in the factory, another one that was in some kind of a red carpet situation with, I guess, Disney. So looking at the two bots, just kind of watching them go through some motions, what was your how, any compares and contrasts between the two?
It seems like Optimus has a little more Elvis.
A little more Elvis.
It's a little looser. It's got a little more motion in the hips, you know. Um, so I'm curious, what a real comparison would be between what Optimus has now versus Figure. They did show where Figure was gathering some dishes, including like a coffee mug,
Right.
and it had to squat. It was squatting midair for quite some time and maintaining its balance. So it was good. It appears to be good with balance and all that, but it seems rather stiff, rather slow. They did say that the actuators or motors are 2 times as fast now, but it just seemed to be pretty slow still. Um, yeah, I'm curious how it would do in a station where in an auto plant you're expected to complete the work in 45 seconds or
Right.
so.
Mhm.
So you got to do the task in 45 seconds and reset the station.
Yeah, yeah. Well, all right. Let's take a look at the stock action today. What did you think?
Okay.
What do you think right now about Tesla? I had said the other day that I thought we would have upgrade. What do we call it? Not upgrades. People would be increasing their estimated EPSs for Tesla before the meeting, and I guess we've had six upgrades over the last week.
Hmm.
Downgrade and six upgrades. The highest number is now 69 cents. I'm at 65 to 75. But that 69 is not the average. It's not like what we have to beat
It's the high,
is
yeah.
the high. I've seen different numbers like 39, 49, 59 in terms of averages. Have you guys looked at that at all? And are you surprised there aren't more people changing their EPSs yet?
We have not, but I would my temptation would be to take the over on the 69 cents. Um, it's definitely higher than 50. Um, so yeah, I'm not surprised by the upgrades, especially because the stock is materially higher now because they tend to follow the stock. So if the stock's doing this, they're gonna move their price target up. If it's going down, they're gonna move their price target down. Uh, I think I'm curious to see what happens over the next week because I think like news around how good version 14 is really hasn't gotten out there. I think people are focusing on like the braking. They're not focused on like the increased capability of it and awareness of V14. I believe is going to grow considerably in the next week, and I'm curious to see if that ends up boosting the stock.
And boosting, I've uh, been, pretty much on record saying I thought we could see 500 after the meeting. Could happen before, but more likely after the meeting. Is that completely off the charts now that we've been stalled so long at 3:30? I'm 4:30, I mean.
No, I wouldn't say so.
Okay.
If we get a Cybertruck V14, I know there's not many Cybertruck owners, but that would also indicate that V14 is going to go wide to a lot of Teslas within a month or so. Um, I think that'll make a big difference. But just generally, um, more more coverage of version 14, I think will help. Tomorrow, Farzad's having a monster webcast where Chuck Cook, Sawyer Merritt, AI Driver, and others are going to be talking about version 14
I see. Okay.
and their
On,
experience.
on space,
Mars catalog as well
on Spaces or on his video
on
channel.
his YouTube. Yeah.
What about do you think even though safety is the number one and most paramount thing that they got on their minds right now, do you think there's a lot of pressure on the Austin team to have the safety driver removed by November 6th?
I don't think the shareholder meeting is um, uh, that it creates additional pressure to remove the safety monitor. Um, I don't think they'll necessarily go to. Um, I guess they're using V14 some in the robotaxis in San Francisco, but I'm not sure they'll move the robotaxis to this version because you have the weird braking.
Oh, uh-huh.
So yeah, to have sudden braking, it may cause riders to feel a bit jarred,
Sure. Sure.
and that's not an experience you tend to want to have um, with people in a taxi. Um, so I think once they do get version 14.2 and that gets fixed, that this is good enough to remove the safety monitor. Now, there's no guarantee they will, but I think it will be good enough to.
I noticed that you were commenting earlier today that we are not in an AI bubble. You're not, no, you were sort of worried about the circular investments, I think.
Yeah.
Talk to me about where you come down on this whole business of AI bubbles and because you've been all for Tesla buying shares in other companies or buying shares in itself. So are you not thinking that Jensen should be buying these shares, or were you more worried about the AI decision to do some kind of a circular thing? Anyway, let me know. Tell us what you're thinking.
Yeah, so XAI allegedly has a deal where NVIDIA and some others are investing in XAI, and maybe there's some kind of commitment or lease back of the data center that they're going to be building as part of this deal. Um, so that reminds people of a time where when the internet bubble happened, there were companies like Nortel Networks that were literally loaning their customers money so that the customers could buy their fiber optic equipment and lay fiber optic cable and have the switching equipment. Um, but what's different now versus then is the usage of those fiber optic networks was very low. So like everyone was excited about fiber optic networks, um, and a bunch got put in, but the usage was low. But you can't say that about these data centers.
Right? They're
These
all
data
maxed out.
centers
Maxed
are
out.
are 60 to 100% all the time, essentially maxed out. But there
Right.
is some ups and downs to it. But so that's very different. The other thing that uh, I think is that's the direction we're heading is I think text and business logic and automating business logic with text. I think that's going to become a commodity. It's fairly easy to do. We're doing it in our business. Um, so, that that does need a lot of compute to figure that out and have it be smart and all that. But where things are headed is toward video. So, you, maybe you have a full second of video that could be a megabyte
Right.
potentially. Um, Whereas a megabyte of text is almost a full book.
Right. Right.
So, 1 second of video versus a full book. So if we're heading to an era where you need to train these humanoid robots and you need to train autonomous vehicles on a ton of data and the sensor data that goes with it, you're going to need 100 to 1,000 times more compute to solve that.
Yeah. And everybody will be solving it. It'll be everybody that wants to have a real world product
Mhm.
that is automated by AI is going to have that kind of real world training
Mhm.
and inference in order to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah. I think figures using compute from Amazon or Microsoft. Google has their own humanoid robot thing. They also have Waymo, so they have a ton of compute going that way. And then Tesla with their autonomous vehicles and their humanoid robots. So I think that the investment in data centers and all these chips to do all these calculations, I think it's only starting.
Well, so how about this? DARP has already, for a couple of years now, has already been trying to get every single piece of military, drivable military or submersible or whatever, flying, ground, sea, every piece of that automated
Hmm.
without a driver at all. Every single one. So
Right.
that's on their to-do list. Everything has to be automated. Well, okay, if the United States government is trying to automate every single piece of their military hardware, that means NATO needs to be doing that. The Chinese need to be doing, Russians need to be doing that. Even this Poland and Turkey and et
Mm.
cetera. Everybody's military is going to have to be automated, or they will be completely, in the rearview mirror.
Yeah. You look at pilots, especially. Pilots take a very long time to train. I believe it's something like 8 years. It's 4 years minimum. It's a multi-million dollar investment per pilot. So if you take the human pilot out, you're avoiding that cost.
Right.
There's a human cost to it too. Um, but also, if you think about G forces on a plane,
Yeah.
if you don't have a human that needs to be able to withstand them, then the plane can do more maneuvers midair that, subject it to higher G forces.
Yep. Yes. Yeah, and then there's tanks, and I don't even know if these will exist anymore. I don't know if we'll have tanks anymore when we have drones, or they're all now drones. This is going to be we're going to have a language problem here because I've already heard people saying air drones versus sea drones versus
Mhm.
land drones or whatever. We're going
It's
to
just going to all be drones.
all
Yeah,
drones. So when we say
that's a good point.
when we say drones right now, we tend to think of these flying drones with the eight rotors or whatever, but they're all drones.
I I
Yeah,
did describe AI as a black hole, and
black hole.
I I did say that in the same breath of the deal that XAI made with NVIDIA. So I think some people thought I meant like around money or like a money bubble.
Yeah.
But what I also meant by that is um, AI, you're wanting to give it all this world knowledge. So you want it to pull in all this knowledge. And so what a black hole, I'm not a physicist, but like it accelerates as it heads toward the black hole.
Yeah.
Um, and so like you're encouraged to feed the AI more knowledge, and it's accelerating and it's happening faster, and it feels like this is going to become like a dizzying kind of scary process. Like none of us wants to go into a like a real black hole, or maybe a good
True.
be a good way to go out, but
Yeah. Right, right, right.
but
Yeah.
it seems to be accelerating. Like you've had all these deals happen suddenly. It's probably not the end of these deals. Jensen Huang himself has said he wants to invest more in XAI and probably OpenAI. So this is not the end of it. And he's basically taking this AI um, and and adding rocket engines to the flywheel.
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, if you listen to the guys on the WTF or the Moonshots, whichever, they got two names for the program. But anyway, on Moonshots with Peter Diamandis,
Mhm.
almost every one of them believes that this next 6 months is going to be unbelievable in terms of what happens. Yeah, the singularity might still be 4 years away or whatever, but the transformation of what's going to happen in all these worlds that we're talking about. And we're seeing with XAI, it's like daily. It seems like every single day they're popping with something new and transformative. I mean, it's probably really only once a week, but it feels like it's every day.
Yeah. I think with service companies especially, the next 2 to 3 years, like you need to get on this bandwagon or you're going to be left behind.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do always like to remind people there's two worlds out there, folks. There's I would call it, some people call it, the small business world because, small business is everything under 500 employees, which is a pretty big business in my opinion. I had
Yeah.
100 employees and I thought that was a pretty big business. So 500 is
Yeah.
all. But under 500, the ability to move, is in some ways quicker,
Yes.
but you've got every kind of personality in those 500 under 500 businesses. You got down to the two or three or five or 10 business, employee businesses, and you've got even a bigger range of personalities running those all. And I even in one of my books, I talked about five different kinds of owners, all the way from the manager owner, which might be the second child, or the Tim Cook, who takes over from the
Mhm.
founder. You've got people that are technologists. They get into the business only because they love the technology. They don't know
Right.
anything about how to run a business. And then you got the guys that are business brains. They don't care what the business is. Just let me get in there. I'll be able to fix it. So there's all
Mhm.
these different personalities. Some of them 10 years from now will be doing things just like they're doing now, and they will have barely added any AI at all. I promise you.
And you think they'll still be around or
And they'll
what?
still be around because it's so much of, so much of business comes down to the personality of the owner, the personality of the salesperson, the personality of the business itself. You just like doing business with that company. They're always
Mhm.
on time. They always have, you can always get in touch with them, and so, yeah, I mean, I see companies today. I only have one client left. Okay. As I've grown the YouTube channel, I've gotten
Mhm.
rid of all my consulting clients. This client is running a bike shop. His family has been running bike. His bike shop is 100 and
It's not a service. I mean, it is a service company, but it's in
is
a way
oh
it's not like
sales
it's a real
sales.
world product company.
Yeah. But
So
anyway,
I'm talking about more where the
accountants and lawyers and
yeah, the product is a service. So like investment management, law, accounting, where you there's a lot of business logic, there's a lot of text that's moving around. Um, I think more with that.
Yeah, I think, if you take law, of course, I have a law degree and I had a lot of legal clients,
Mm,
a law clients, and I think in law there will be changes. It will be more in just how the documents are created. So we already saw that big change in the internet age where there became a lot of boilerplate. All you had to do is stick in a couple of changes and print it
mm,
out, charge 7 grand. That already that we've already been through that. Now it'll be a little more sophisticated in the way that those documents are created and the way that you can quickly get what you need in terms of the research. But I think it's still going to come down to you're going to hire a lawyer, a therapist, an accountant. You're going to hire them based on because you feel like you've got a relationship. You feel like you can trust them. You feel like they're you know good at what they do. There's still going to be that personality situation, and they'll be able to, and they won't have to charge. There's lawyers out there, as you know, that charge $1,000 an hour, and there's lawyers out there that charge $200 an hour. So the $200 an hour guy doesn't have to be as sophisticated.
all right.
No, I think that's what my experience has been, over the last 25 years watching these companies is some of them, they change like that, and others, they change 10 years later.
I'm gonna have to think about this because I feel that adopting AI is as big of a change as like adopting computers.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to talk some more about this, Randy.
Yeah, well, I don't want to throw my client under the bus, but my client just put in a sophisticated computer system. He had another computer system, very like a 20-year-old computer. You can imagine the difference
Mhm.
between the 20-year-old computer system and one that would be right now state of the art that he just put in. But
Mhm.
this is the first time in 20 years. I had clients 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that basically did not have a website, or if they did, it hadn't been, nobody had ever looked at it or changed it in 10 or 15 years. So no, there's a range of people out there. I had 400 clients over the
Mm.
last 18 years. And I knew them. I was a one-man show. So I knew these people very, very well. Believe me, there are people that change and there are people that don't. And somehow the ones who don't change, they find a way. They find a way. That's my theory.
Okay. I'm gonna reflect on this.
I would love to have you reflect on that.
Well, I don't have any more for you, so
That's all you've got.
let's get right to the numbers.
All right, we are going to come up with those numbers in a bit. So Tesla was down 0.72% in regular trading and is down 0.03%. Call it flat. In the pre-market, we've got bonds just hanging out just below my number, just below the 4.15, sitting at 4.142, and that's down 0.6%. We've got oil basically flat at 61.50. Natural gas down 0.86, but still, quite solidly up there at $3.24. Gold had fallen back a ton to what? Under 4,000. Will Randy turn out to be right about this one? So far, I'd say that I've hit it out of the park. What do you think in the comments below? But we'll see. If it goes back above 4,000 and continues its journey to 5,000, I will have missed it. But for the moment, I'm in good shape. We've got silver up 1.12. Copper is starting back up again, up 0.45, all the way to $5.15. The dollar is mixed. Bitcoin has dropped off today. It's not as much as it was earlier today, so it's down 1,983 at 121,557. And Ethereum is down a lot, down 3.33. I think that also is not quite as much down as it was when we reported this morning. So sitting at 43.63. That's a rough guess. I didn't double check that. Now we've got, in terms of the equities, we've got all three up a tad. So Dow is up 0.09, the S&P up 0.05, and the Nasdaq also up 0.05. So not a tremendous amount going on there. All right, so later on tonight, you got Cern Basher, and of course it's great. You know, it's always good. It's Cern after all. So look forward to that one later on tonight. If you didn't watch last night, we had Brian Wang on, and his analysis of where we are right now with regard to the stock is worth it all by itself, but we talked about many other things as well, which I think you will appreciate. All right, so I'll put that card up here, and that's it for now, and normal stuff tomorrow. It's been great talking to you.